Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Russo and I'm going to share another one of my Chris Van Allsburg books. It's called The Sweetest Fig. A couple things about this book. First, a fig is a type of fruit. Secondly, this story takes place in Paris, France. So it's going to talk about Bastille Day, which is like France's 4th of July, and it's going to talk about francs. That's France's money. Instead of dollars, they have francs. Thirdly, in the last book, I introduced you to Fritz. It's the dog that Chris Van Allsburg puts in every book. The dog in this book is called Marcel. It is not Fritz. Fritz is hidden somewhere else. So see if you can spot him. He's very tiny in this book. And he's not a real living dog. He's a picture of a dog on something. At the end of the book, I'm going to have a question for you about the ending. So here is The Sweetest Fig. Monsieur Bibeau, the dentist, was a very fussy man. He kept his small apartment as neat and clean as his office. If his dog Marcel jumped on the furniture, Bibeau was sure to teach him a lesson. Except on Bastille Day, the poor animal was not even allowed to bark. One morning, Bibeau met an old woman waiting at his office door. She had a toothache and begged the dentist to help. "But you have no appointment," he told her. The woman moaned. Bibeau looked at his watch. Perhaps there was time to make a few extra francs. He took her inside and looked in her mouth. "This tooth must come out," he said with a smile. When he was done, the dentist said, "I will give you some pills to kill the pain." The old woman was very grateful. "I can't pay you in money, but I have something much better." She took 2 figs from her pocket and handed them to Bibeau. "Figs!" he said angrily. "These figs are very special," the woman whispered. "They can make your dreams come true." She winked at him and put her finger to her lips. It was clear to Bibeau that the woman was crazy. He set the figs down and took her by the arm. When she reminded him about the pills, he said, "I'm sorry, only for paying customers," and shoved her out the door. That evening, Bibeau took his little dog to the park. Poor Marcel loved to sniff the tree trunks and bushes, but whenever he stopped, Bibeau would pull sharply on the leash. Just before going to bed, the dentist had a small snack. He sat at his dining room table and ate one of the figs the old woman had given him. It was delicious, possibly the finest, sweetest fig he'd ever had. In the morning, Bibeau dragged Marcel down the stairs for his morning walk. The steep steps were hard for the short-legged dog, but Bibeau wouldn't think of carrying his pet. He hated to get Marcel's white hairs on his beautiful blue suits. As he walked along the crowded sidewalk, Bibeau could not help noticing people looking at him. "They are admiring my suit," he thought, but when Bibeau saw his reflection in the window of a cafe, he stopped in horror. He was dressed only in his underwear. The dentist turned and ran into an alley. "Sacre bleu," he thought, "what has happened to my clothes?" Then he remembered the dream he'd had last night. In his dream, he'd stood in front of that very cafe, dressed in his underwear. Something else had happened in his dream, and Bibeau struggled to recall it. Marcel, looking out from the shadows of the alley, began to bark. The dentist looked up and saw the rest of his dream come true. No one noticed Bibeau as he ran home in his underwear. All the eyes of Paris were fixed on the Eiffel Tower, which slowly drooped over as if it were made of soft rubber. Bibeau understood now that the old woman with the figs, but understood now that the old woman with the figs had told him the truth. He would not waste the second fig. Over the next few weeks, as reconstruction of the Eiffel Tower began, the dentist read dozens of books on hypnotism. Each night before he went to sleep, he gazed into a mirror and whispered over and over, "Bibeau is the richest man on earth. Bibeau is the richest man on earth." Soon, in his dreams, that's exactly what he was. As he slept, the dentist saw himself steering his speedboat, flying his aeroplane, and living in luxury on the Riviera. Night after night, it was the same. One evening, Bibot took the second fig from his cupboard. It would not last forever. Tonight, he thought, is the night. He put the right fruit on a dish and set it on his table. Tomorrow, he would wake up the richest man in the world. He looked down at Marcel and smiled. The little dog would not be coming along. In his dreams, Bibot had Great Danes. As the dentist reached into his cupboard to take out some cheese, he heard the crash of breaking china. He turned to see Marcel standing on a chair with his front paws on the table, chewing the last of the fig. Bibot was furious. He chased the dog around the apartment. When Marcel ran beneath the bed, Bibot yelled at him, "Tomorrow I'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget." Then the dentist, angry and heartbroken, went to sleep. When he woke up the next morning, Bibot was confused. He was not in his bed. He was beneath it. Suddenly, a face appeared in front of him, his own face. "Time for your walk," it said. Come to Marcel. A hand reached down and grabbed him. Bibot tried to yell, but all he could do was bark. The end. So, everybody, what was the dog's dream? Could you tell? I hope you enjoyed the Sweetest Fig. And if you want to tell me what you thought the dog's dream was, you could send that to me in your email. Just have your parents help you out. Have a good rest of your day. I miss you all. Bye.